Welcome to the channel for my Premier League predictions. Game Week 21. Game Week 20 came with some shocking and unbelievable results. At this point, I want to apologize to all Manchester United fans for doubting Manchester United going to the Game Week 20 in their game against Liverpool. After watching Man United's super performance against Liverpool, I now trust the process and I believe in American football. I think it's going to work. Well, going to this game of 21, my like target for this video is just 70 plus 1. 71 likes. Like, comment your predictions and your thoughts at the comment section. My name is Andy Fine, and without wasting much of your time, let's get into the game of 21 predictions. So to begin, the first game in Game Week 21 at the GTEC Community Stadium is between Brentford versus Manchester City. In Game Week 20, Manchester City managed to get a 4-1 victory over West Ham United, and Erling Haaland was back on the score sheet, scoring brace. And well, one player who deserves mention is Savino. In that game, he was my man of the match. Talking about Brentford, in Game Week 20, Brentford also went to the St. Mary's Stadium and they got a 5-0 victory over Southampton in Game Week 20. Looking at the Premier League table at the moment, Manchester City is now sit on the Premier League table with 33 points as it stands in Game Week 20. Looking at Brentford too at the moment, they are now 11th on the Premier League table with 27 points as it stands in Game Week 20. Going into this game in Game Week 21 is going to be a very tough and interesting game, and I'm sitting on the tie here. I'm predicting Brentford to Manchester City 2. Yeah, so moving on to the next game is a London derby at the London Stadium is between West Ham United versus Fulham. Looking at the league table, Fulham at the moment, they are 9th on the Premier League table with 30 points as it stands in Game Week 20. Looking at West Ham on the league table, they are now 13th on the Premier League table with 23 points as it stands in Game Week 20. In Game Week 20, Fulham got a 2-2 draw against the new promoted side Ipswich Town, and West Ham United lost 4-1 against Manchester City in Game Week 20. So going into this game in Game Week 21 is going to be a very tough and interesting game for both sides. But well, I'm tipping West Ham to get the home advantage and manage to get the win over Fulham. I'm predicting this game to end in a 2-1 victory for West Ham. West Ham United 2, Fulham 1. Yeah, so moving on to the next game at the Stamford Bridge is between Chelsea versus AFC Bournemouth. Looking at the Premier League table, Chelsea at the moment, they are 4th on the Premier League table with 36 points as it stands in Game Week 20. Looking at Bournemouth too, Bournemouth at the moment, they are also sit on the Premier League table with 33 points as it stands in Game Week 20. A 1-0 victory over Everton in Game Week 20. Chelsea got a 1-1 draw against Crystal Palace in Game Week 20. Going into this game at the Bridge, Chelsea in their past 3 games in the Premier League have not managed to get a win. About going into this game against AFC Bournemouth, which in their first leg, Chelsea got 1-0 victory over Bournemouth in the first leg. So going into this game, I think Chelsea is going to do a back-to-back wins over Bournemouth. And I'm predicting a 2-1 victory for Chelsea. Chelsea 2, AFC Bournemouth 1. Yes, so moving on to the next game is between Nottingham Forest versus Liverpool. Looking at the league table, Liverpool at the moment, they are now 1st on the Premier League table with 46 points as it stands in Game Week 20. But they have already played 19 games with 1 outstanding game. As I'm recording this video, Nottingham Forest are yet to play the game in the Game Week 20 against Wolves. So I can't give much details about that game. But going into this game in Game Week 21, Nottingham Forest hosting Liverpool is going to be an interesting, tough game. Looking at the league table, Nottingham Forest at the moment, they are 3rd on the Premier League table with 37 points. And this is very shocking because nobody predicted Nottingham Forest to be among the top 3 in the Premier League at this moment. But well, they are playing good, and players like Chris Wood Elanga, Hobson-Odoi, Gibbs White. I mean, they have a couple of players who have been good this season and they keep on delivering points each and every game week. Liverpool going into this game in game week 21 is going to be a tough game, and I'm sitting on a tie. I'm predicting this game to end in a 2-2 draw. Nottingham Forest to Liverpool 2. Yeah, so moving on to the next game at the Goodison Park is between Everton versus Aston Villa. Everton in game week 20 lost 1-0 against AFC Bournemouth, and Aston Villa also managed to get a 2-1 victory over Leicester City in game week 20. Looking at the league table as it stands in game week 20, Everton at the moment they are 16th on the Premier League table with 17 points out of 19 games. Aston Villa at the moment they are now 8th on the Premier League table with 32 points out of 20 games. Going into this game at the Goodison Park in game week 21 is going to be an interesting and very fantastic game. Everton this season they don't score much goals, but they are the team with the most clean sheet as it stands in game week 20. Going into this game at the Goodison Park, I think this is going to be a low scoring game, and I'm predicting Aston Villa to get a 1-0 victory over Everton at the Goodison Park. Aston Villa 1, Everton 0. Yes, so moving on to the next game at the King Power Stadium is between Leicester City versus Crystal Palace. In game week 20, Crystal Palace managed to get a 1-1 draw against Chelsea in game week 20, and Leicester City lost 2-1 against Aston Villa in game week 20. Going into this game in game week 21 at the King Power Stadium is going to be interesting, a very fantastic game to call. And going into this game, looking at the Premier League table, Leicester City at the moment they are 19th on the Premier League table with 14 points as it stands in game week 20. Crystal Palace too at the moment they are 15th on the Premier League table with 21 points as it stands in game week 20. Going into this game at the King Power Stadium game week 21, I'm predicting Leicester City to get a 2-1 victory over Crystal Palace. Leicester City 2, Crystal Palace 1. Oh yes, moving on to the next game at the St. James Park is between Newcastle United versus Wolves. Going into this game, Newcastle is coming from a 2-1 victory over Tottenham Hotspur in game week 20. And as I'm recording this video, Wolves are yet to play the game against Nottingham Forest in game week 20. So going into this game in game week 21, Newcastle United hosting Wolves. I'm predicting this game to end in a 3-2 victory for Newcastle United. Newcastle United 3, Wolves 2. Yes, so moving on to the next game, the biggest among all is a London derby at the Emirates Stadium is between Arsenal versus Tottenham Hotspur. In game week 20, Arsenal got a 1-1 draw against Brighton, and Tottenham Hotspur lost at home 2-1 against Newcastle United in game week 20. Looking at the league table, Arsenal at the moment they are second on the Premier League table with 40 points as it stands in game week 20. Looking at Tottenham Hotspur, they are also now 12th on the Premier League table with 24 points out of 20 games. Going into this game at the Emirates in game 21 is going to be a tough game, and this is a London derby. As I always say, these games are tricky to call, and I'm predicting this game to end in a draw. I'm predicting Arsenal to Tottenham Hotspur 2. Yeah, so moving on to the next game is between Ipswich Town versus Brighton. In game week 20, Ipswich Town got a 2-2 draw against Fulham in game week 20, and Brighton also got a 1-1 draw against Arsenal in game week 20. Looking at the league table, Ipswich Town at the moment they are 18th on the Premier League table with 16 points out of 20 games. Looking at Brighton at the moment they are also 10th on the Premier League table with 28 points out of 20 games. Going into this game in game week 21 is going to be an interesting game. I'm calling this to be a draw game. I'm predicting Ipswich Town 1, Brighton 1. Yes, so moving on to the last game in game week 21 is between Manchester United versus Southampton. Manchester United in game week 20 gave out some impressive performance against Liverpool and they got a 2-2 draw against the league leaders Liverpool at Anfield. And going into this game at Old Trafford facing the team at the bottom of the Premier League table, this is a must-win game and United must win this game hands down. Going into this game, Southampton too is coming from a 5-0 loss against Brentford in game of 20. So going into this game at the Old Trafford, I'm predicting Manchester United to get a perfect scoreline. I'm predicting Manchester United 3, Southampton 0. Yes, so this has been my predictions for Premier League Game Week 21. In Game Week 20 prediction video, I brought on my good friend Mr. Larry J and he gave us some impressive predictions. Let me know your minds at the comment section. Would you like to see him in my next video in Game Week 22? Let me know if you want to see him again on my channel. Comment below and let me know. Without wasting much of your time, my name is Andy Fine. Until we meet in another video. Bye bye for now.